everybody, and welcome to Light the Fire 2020, the virtual edition. I'm your host, Ryan Smetzer, and I'm so excited and honored to present to you some incredible speakers all throughout this morning. But we're going to kick things off with the man who makes it all happen each and every year, Connell Cuffey of Proceed to Lead. Connell, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing really well, Ryan. Thank you very much. It's awesome. I can't believe that Light the Fire 2020 is actually here.
Yes, and it's such an incredible setup right here at Hope Community Church. We've got an incredible lineup, a great setup right here. We, of course, want to give a shout out to Hope Community Church for allowing us to use their venue today for our virtual edition. Kite and Anchor, as well as Captivated Culture and Amber Berman. Without their generous contributions, none of this would be possible. Now, Connell, tell us a little bit about how you put together Proceed to Lead and how you put together Light the Fire over the last couple of years.
Absolutely. So Proceed to Lead was originally a brainchild of myself and my staff at Leitersburg Cinemas. And we wanted to create a program that connected leaders to anyone in the community, because I think that there's a gap there, right? So we wanted to create this program, and we did, and we launched it with Light the Fire 2019 last year at Leitersburg Cinemas. And it was such a cool thing because you got to really see people give their experiences. You know, everyone on stage was able to tell their story and let people know, hey, it doesn't matter if you fail, it doesn't matter if you succeed. We all live one life, and you just got to try every single day. As long as you are breathing, you have an opportunity to change the world. So that was something that we wanted to make sure continued. And when Leitersburg shut down, I was like, all right, we're going to make sure this thing keeps going. So thank you to the staff at Leitersburg that helped with this, because without them, this really wouldn't be here today.
Amen to that. And I know that, COVID kind of caused a little bit of an obstacle in the way over the last couple of months with putting everything together. How did you guys kind of overcome those obstacles over the last few months?
Well, the cool thing is that Hope Community has done a really good live stream, and especially when COVID happened, they kind of upped their game a little bit. So I reached out to Sam, who's the ministry coordinator, and he was like, I got you, man. We're going to make this happen. And of course, this is the first time I've ever had to do anything like this, so the nerves were there and everything, but luckily they are professionals. He and his team, Brittany, who's in charge of the online church, they do a fantastic job. So they are the ones carrying this, and I'm just along for the ride.
Fantastic. So we have an incredible lineup of presenters today, and what's kind of awesome about it is they're all local, and they're all kind of fire starters in the community, whether it's the business community, the spiritual community, whatever it may be. They are an awesome lineup. Tell us a little bit about some of our presenters this morning.
Sure, absolutely. Our first speaker is Laura Wallace, who's the CEO and Director of Works & Co. And she's an amazing community figure. She's all about women and empowerment and entrepreneurship. So I think that's really key, especially because we're supporting Girls Inc. today, right? We have Helen Menzie, who is apparently a really good basketball player who I told I would beat anyway, but she's here, and she's just going to tell her story about how she overcame obstacles and became a great player and a great person. Eric Rollins, who's a really good friend of mine. This guy, he's a workout warrior, literally, but he's going to be talking about spiritual fitness and how we can take our spirituality and actually apply it to everyday life. And then, of course, Kristin Holt with Captivated Culture. She's actually the one that has been doing the most groundwork with the social media for Light the Fire. So I'm excited to hear what she has to say. And we all know that she has a colorful personality, colorful hair, and she's going to bring the fire today.
That's fantastic. And how can folks get involved with kind of chatting throughout this morning's lineup of presenters, as far as kind of, having a conversation about those different presentations and really just getting involved in the chat this morning?
Absolutely, yeah. So the chat is live. If you register for your ticket, you'll get the link directly to the YouTube channel where the chat is live. You can even go to proceedtolead.com, click on Light the Fire, and you'll be able to chat there and even through the Facebook link. So we are going to be responding the entire morning, and we want to make sure we hear from you because your voice really does matter in this, and we want to get some feedback in the conversation going.
Wonderful. And beyond Light the Fire, how can people get connected with you with Proceed to Lead?
Absolutely. So Same thing, proceedtolead.com. My email is there. If you want to be a part of Light the Fire, or if you want to be part of Proceed to Lead's mission, which is conversations that change lives, if you really want to help out with young adults and teaching them financial freedom, teaching them how to invest, teaching them about real estate, hit me up and we'll get you to be a part of it. It's really a cool program, and I think it's going to really help a lot of young people.
That's awesome. And you have a podcast as well that kind of ties in with the brand. Tell us a little bit about that.
I do. And this is actually the flagship for it, but it's called Uncuffed with Cannell Cuffey. And it's about getting to the truth by separating emotions. And I think that even now in this political time that we're living in, we all have issues with politics. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. But if we can actually comb through that and let the truth rise to the top, then I think we'll be a better world for it. If everyone listens to each other, and if everyone really remembers that we are human beings at the end of the day, we're not left, we're not right, we're not liberal, we're not conservative, we're people, I think then we'll really find something. And that's what Uncuffed is all about, unchaining ourselves, unhandcuffing ourselves from the emotions, and really living in the truth of what this world is.
That's awesome. Now tell us a little bit too about the theme of Light the Fire today. I know there's kind of a central theme amongst all of the speakers today. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. It's turning your vision into action. And I think even with COVID, there's a lot of questions out there like, how do I get out and affect the community when I'm under lockdown? But you can. And this is what these speakers are here to talk about, how they, in the past 8 months, have really affected the community and how they're going to continue to do so, even under these uncertain times.
Sweet. Are we ready to get started?
We're ready.
Fantastic. Let's get ready to get started with our Light the Fire 2020 conference, the virtual edition. Be sure to get in on the chat throughout the morning and let us know how you feel about all the great presentations and really kind of start a conversation about all of the content today. Our first speaker today is Laura Wallace, better known as Laura Ara, the CEO, Creative Director, and Resident Fire Starter at Works & Co. She's a brand and mindset coach for driven women ready to take their power back and expand their business, and the host-ish of the Gutsy podcast. As an award-winning branding expert for nearly 2 decades, Laura has worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs and approaches each project with strategic vigor fueled by possibilities. She's a calculated risk taker and industry notable who brings a nationally recognized creative mind that knows no bounds. She thrives on helping her clients reach new heights, exceeding even their own expectations for success. She's happiest seeing others fulfill their dreams and takes great pride in helping them do so. Here to kick off Light the Fire 2020, please welcome Laura Wallace.
Good morning. Welcome to Light the Fire. I am so excited to be here with you guys today, and I hope that you at home are ready to absorb some incredible information. So this morning, we're going to kick off the day by talking about gutsy. You're going to learn what gutsy is, how you're already using it, and how your gutsy actually really thrives and is needed in our community. So we're going to do an exercise. I'm going to make you uncomfortable here first thing in the morning. So I want you to stand up. Yes, I know that you're at home. Yes, I know you're in the office. Yes, I know you're like, wait, what? I would like you to stand up, and I really just want you to embrace the presence that you're in right now. I want you to think about part of your body, your mind, your spirit, your physical, something that you absolutely love about yourself. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? Now, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to take a stance. Put your hands up, put it out. I know, it's weird. Just do it with me, trust me. And then I want you to close your eyes and I want you to yell out, I have an amazing, and whatever that was. So I'm going to do it with you. Ready? I have amazing eyes. Well, that's weird, isn't it? It's only weird because we don't do it very often. Go ahead, take a seat. Thanks for participating. So I'm going to bet that one of these things happened. You stood up, but you didn't say anything. Perhaps you stood up and you did something like this. I have amazing eyes. Or perhaps you sat. And why you sat? Because you wanted to observe and see what was going to happen. What was really happening is you were experiencing gutsy trying to embrace itself. It was trying to come to the surface. It was trying to come out of your mouth and out of your body. But I'm going to bet you felt a couple of different things. Maybe you felt nervous. Maybe you had like weird butterflies in your stomach. Perhaps you were kind of curious what was going on. So what actually got in the way? What stopped you from standing up and just shouting it from the top of your lungs? Well, a lot of things. Perhaps it was worry. Worry of what other people would think. If you're at your house and your kids are there doing homeschool today, they're going, Mom, you all right this morning? Maybe you're in your office and your coworkers are like, I don't know what that guy's doing this morning, but he needs to figure himself out. Perhaps you started to overthink the situation. What am I doing? Am I doing it right? Should I do it like this? Are my arms out too far? Did I say the right thing? Perhaps it was fear. We're going to talk about fear in a hot second. Perhaps it was fear of the unknown. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know where we're going with this. I don't know if I should even do it. And am I doing this right? Is there a better way to do this? I wonder what everyone else is doing. So what is gutsy? Well, the dictionary defines gutsy as having great courage. I see gutsy as this embodiment. It's having fear in your body, but knowing that your gut is telling you to do something and leaning in and doing it anyway. It's showing up, it's speaking out, it's doing something against the grain that maybe seems unordinary, or maybe everyone else around you is not doing it, but you know in your body that it is right. Gutsy shows up in all different types of ways. Sometimes it's applying for a job that you don't yet feel qualified for. Sometimes it's making a really hard decision, even when it's not the most popular vote. It could be something as simple as saying hello to somebody on the street when you're an introvert and reaching out and saying, you know what, today I'm going to embrace my voice and say something. Perhaps it's trying something new. Sometimes gutsy is huge stuff, like really big monumental life changes. Maybe you're packing up your whole life and moving to a city that you've never gone to. Or maybe you're just trying a whole new business adventure and you've never done anything before. Sometimes it's the really tiny, quiet moments when your gutsy shines by itself with you. Like getting out of bed in the morning when you know that your anxiety is trying to consume you, but you're like, not today, anxiety. Not today. Let's talk about fear for a second. First of all, fear is a jerk, okay? Fear shows up in the most inconvenient times, in the most inconvenient places of your life and in your business. It loves, and feeds on showing up when you are at your most innovative, when you're on the cusp of something, when you're on to something amazing, when you can see it, feel it, and taste it. Fear's like, oh, hey, we haven't hung out in a while. Why don't we spend the evening together? Particularly, I'm free at 2 a.m. Are you? Oh, you're not? That's fine. I'm still coming over. Fear is fake. Now, there are different types of fear, and we're going to talk about that in a second, but fear tries to keep you safe. Fear tries to stop you from doing the things that gutsy is saying, hey, I've got you. We can do this together. Fear causes you to question yourself. What am I doing? Am I good enough? What are they going to think if I do this? What if I go over there and it's not right? What if I make the wrong decision? Fear tries to keep you safe. So how do you know the difference between fear and gutsy? Because oftentimes, if not every time, they walk together. They're like, let's everybody get in the car, and fear, you get to come along, but you have to sit in the back seat. You don't get to drive. But how do we know? How do we know if fear is saying, hey, don't do this, and gutsy's like, yeah, we should definitely do it? And how do we know when fear is actually speaking to us and saying, this is not the right decision? This is not the right call. I've got a really simple exercise that you can use in every aspect of your life, and it's something I like to call bricks and butterflies. Now, when we're talking about gutsy, I'm talking about really embodying yourself, your body, your being, your feelings. Where are you feeling this emotion in your body? Well, fear shows up as something I call bricks. So when you are having a feeling of fear that's not, it's like a stop sign. Stop, turn around, go back. This is not where you're supposed to go in life. This is not the right decision. That is not the right person. This is not the right business. This is not the right client. When your soul knows that it's not right, you're going to feel bricks. This is a very low, heavy feeling in your body. It often feels very uncomfortable, like you feel like something's wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Something feels off. When you get that very low feeling in your body and in your gut, trust it. Always, always trust your gut because it is always guiding you. Now, my favorite is butterflies. Butterflies show up when gutsy is like, yep, this is the right thing to do. Butterflies are very light, very airy, very like fluttery feelings. Kind of like when you get really crazy excited about something and you almost want to puke. That's a good sign. This feeling is going to be higher, sometimes in your upper gut, sometimes up in your chest. And this is that type of feeling where you're like so excited and you don't really know what to do with yourself, but fear is still like, ooh, I'm not sure. But you're like, oh, no. This feels different. So every time that you are faced with a circumstance, a challenge, an opportunity, I want you to really embrace, where are you feeling this in your body? Is it indeed bricks, asking you to pause, rethink, and reconsider? Or is fear actually saying, you know what, this is kind of scary, but gutsy is leading us in the right direction? So how do you embrace gutsy? How do you infuse this into your life? How do you infuse this into your community? Well, the most beautiful thing about gutsy is it doesn't run out. It is not a tank that you're born with, and once you use it all, it's gone. If anything, gutsy is like a muscle, and the more you use it, the stronger it gets. The more intuition that you'll start listening to, the better decisions you'll start making because you have learned to listen to yourself. Here's a couple of different ways that you can embrace gutsy in your life. First of all, and I cannot stress this enough, is to be yourself. And I know that's hard because people are watching and people are wondering and like, how do I do this? And, I'm going to this type of meeting and so I should wear this type of clothing, or I'm going to that family function so I should talk like that. We start diluting ourselves in every situation in our lives and in our businesses, and what you're left with at the end of the day is a watered down version of who you truly are. When you embrace being yourself, when you step into being you, you are a beacon of light. You are a magnet, and energy out is energy in. So what you are putting out is what you are receiving. So take an inventory of your life and of your business and of the people around you and ask yourself, what energy am I putting out? And how can I embrace gutsy by being myself more? You're not going to please everybody. Not everyone's going to love you. And that's a hard fact of life. But when you are yourself, people love you for who you are. And there is no greater joy than that. The second is to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable is scary. Putting yourself out there is scary. Sharing a hardship is scary. Sharing a victory sometimes is scary. Putting yourself out there and being vulnerable not only empowers you, but it empowers people around you. It gives people the permission that they didn't need, but you have given them to step into their light, for them to step into who they are. It's also relatability. Guys, we are humans. Humans are messy. We have so much stuff going on. And I think sometimes we put people up on a pedestal and say, well, their life is perfect or their life is that. We start comparing ourselves to other people. They're further ahead in life. They have more money. They drive a better car. They're happier. They dress better. Insert situation. But what I want you to realize today is that what you're looking at is a different part of every person's story. This is not a linear path. Yes, we are all coexisting at the same time in the same place of life, and how beautiful is that? But each person has their own timeline. So that person that you're looking up to, who knows what they had to go through to get there? Who knows what hardships they faced? Who knows what hard decisions they had to make? You are exactly where you're supposed to be, and your vulnerability, I promise you, will empower someone else. Third is to find your tribe. These are your people, your front line, the people that you're excited to call when something great is happening, and the first person that you're showing up on their doorstep when things are going really, really crazy. I think we can all vouch that this year has proven its level of crazy. Finding your tribe gives you the support and the oomph, and sometimes that extra push that you need when you're in those moments when you're like, I'm gonna step into gutsy, I'm feeling something, I'm gonna do it, I'm getting out there. And then you start shying away. It's your tribe that's like, no, I got you. I see you, I feel you, I trust you, and I believe in you. And lastly, step up and step out. Look, we're talking about putting action into our community. We're talking about putting action into life today. And stepping up and stepping out is one of the most brave things that you can ever do. It's speaking up for the people that don't have a voice. It's standing up and asking for change. It's demanding that things evolve. When you step up and step out, you are embracing your gutsy and inspiring those around you. I can't stress enough how powerful you are. You may not think it and you may not feel it right now, but I can promise you the things that you do, you were given a very specific gift in this world, in this life. And if you're still figuring that out, that's okay, because guess what? Remember that timeline we talked about? You're just living that story. Our community thrives on your gutsy. We need thought leaders to stand up and stand out. Change doesn't change unless people are behind the change and put action into motion. Ideas are beautiful, but they're only as powerful as they are in action. Our community needs you, deserves you, quite honestly. Being gutsy in our community invokes change. Things don't change if things don't change, right? And when you stand up and you embrace yourself and you stand out and you get in there and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna get in the trenches with you guys because I believe in this mission. Change happens when leaders stand up and say, hey, I have something to say. I have something to contribute. Gutsy also embraces innovation. New things happen because someone sat in their garage at one point and thought, I wonder what happens if I create a website and I get other people to sell their products on this website and then I ship it all over the world. And then what happens if I promise that those things can get there in 2 days? We go from a man that had an idea to now basically there isn't a single person on the planet that hasn't either heard of or has used Amazon. You can see the vans everywhere. That happened because someone had an idea. Gutsy invokes innovation. Gutsy also cultivates creativity. Creativity is one of the most beautiful energies on the planet. It's saying, hey, what if we do this? Hey, what if we do that? And when you're thinking about creativity, I want to encourage you to play in the space of what if. Because a lot of times what happens with creativity is we start howling it to death. Well, how are we going to do this? And how are we going to get that person? And how are we going to go there? And then before you know it, the creative idea has gone out the window. Creativity exists when you take the rules out. There is time and there is a place for you to figure out the details. Don't get me wrong, that's very important. But when creativity strikes, I want you to embrace it. I want you to step into it. I want you to feel it. Write it down, write it on your wall, write it on your arm, get it out of your body, because that's gutsy saying, hey, I think I have an idea. What if we explore this? And creativity is not always perfect. Actually, creativity is quite messy. That's one of the most beautiful parts about it. But when you step into creativity and you allow it to have the space that it needs to do what it wants to do, even if that first idea isn't the winning one, it often leads to another idea, which leads to another idea, which ultimately leads you to that gutsy moment. Embracing your gutsy, it gives you the power and the freedom to live freely, wholly, beautifully. It allows you to live that life that you see and feel in your mind and in your body. You can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it, you can taste it. It's like that gut feeling, that intuition that you're like, I just know. Embracing your gutsy allows you to fully step into that. Because when you put fear in the front seat, if you start worrying about everyone else and you start going down that rabbit hole, which we all do, and it's okay. It's okay. But my goal here today is to empower you to say, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit different today. I'm feeling like this is something that I want to try. This is something that I want to do. And when you start taking those little steps, little baby steps at a time, you start building that muscle. And before you know it, that thing that you thought and felt in your mind and in your body, it's in front of you. It's real. It's tangible. You can only see things that are tangible in your life. So you're given ideas and thoughts and feelings because it's possible. Thank you for being so gutsy with me this morning. And whether you stood up, whether you said something, whether you sat down, I hope, and my goal and my mission and my love for you is that you will take these words, you will take this feeling, this inner compass that you were so beautifully given in life, and you'll start thinking differently and acting differently, not only in your life and in your business, but also in your community. Thank you so much. Continue to be you and continue to stay gutsy.
Thank you so much, Laura. And if you have any questions for Laura, feel free to chime in on the chat. And same goes for all of our speakers throughout the morning. Be sure to chime in the chat if you have any questions, and they'll jump in throughout the day and answer any questions that you may have. Next up in our lineup, we have the fabulous Helen Menzie, a 1986 graduate of North Hagerstown High School. She continued her education at Providence College in Providence, Rhode Island, where she received a full athletic scholarship to play basketball. She graduated in 1991 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in social work. Helen received her associate's and bachelor's degrees in biblical studies from the North Carolina College of Theology in June of 2012 and June of 2013, respectively, through their satellite campus of Lamplighter College of Theology in Charlestown, West Virginia. She was consecrated and licensed as a local elder in the King's Apostle Church World Ministries in 2012 and serves in ministry with her husband, Pastor Darren Menzie, at Greater Camphor Temple in Hagerstown, Maryland. Helen's professional career has been in the human services field, where she's been employed with the Department of Juvenile Services for the past 17 years. She's currently a case management specialist supervisor at Western Maryland's Children's Center. She enjoyed coaching high school basketball and track and field for the past 25 years. Please welcome to our Light the Fire stage, Helen Menzie.
Good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Connell Coffey and Proceed to Lead for the opportunity to be standing before you on this morning. And it's great that I followed our first speaker, because I'm feeling that gutsy, and I'm definitely going to have to embrace my gutsy on this morning. The theme for this year's conference is turning vision to action. I believe that turning vision to action begins with establishing goals and then working on accomplishing them. As you accomplish those goals, you will find that you're moving that vision to reality. So on this morning, I would like to share with you some of my life experiences in regards to setting goals, reaching them, and then doing what's necessary to maintain them. At a young age, I started to get involved in sports. When we were younger, our parents just said, go outside, go play. It wasn't that sitting inside and playing video games and Fortnite and those things that you see now. But we were encouraged to go outside and play. And that's what I did. I would be outside with my brothers and my cousins that were my age, and we got involved in all different sports. But I developed a love for basketball. And as my love and passion for basketball grew, I knew once I hit high school that I wanted to play college basketball. The only thing is, no one in my family had really attended college. My mom was one of 16 kids, and only the youngest of her siblings was able to go to college. My brother went into the military, my sister didn't go to college, so I really didn't know what it was going to take to be able to do that. But I was fortunate to have people around me that knew what it would take, and they saw the potential in me, and they were willing to guide me through that. So the first thing I had to do was determine if the goal of playing basketball was a realistic one for me. I had to do a self-assessment. Did I possess the skill set that it took to play at that level? What were my strengths and what were the areas that I would have to improve in? What did I have to do to continue to develop my game? Was I willing to put in the time and do the things that I needed to do to get better? Were my grades and my GPA going to be good enough to get me into a college? Because that was the first thing that I'd have to be able to do. And then mostly, was I willing to make the sacrifices and do the things that it would take to get me there? So after reflecting on those things and deciding that it was truly what I wanted for my future, I had to first develop a mindset that I could do it. I shared my goals with my parents, with my teachers, with my coaches, with my teammates, anybody that was willing to become part of my support system. I got some mentors. I created a team of people that would assist me and hold me accountable to be able to fulfill my goal. I played basketball practically every day. You could find me at Wheaton Park playing. You could find me at the Boys and Girls Club, at my school gym, but I spent most of my time on a basketball court. I would leave basketball practice and go to the Boys and Girls Club. And I'd get there, I'd do my homework, and after my homework was done, I went to the gym, and I was in the gym until the club closed. But the main thing was I had to, and I knew that I needed to be willing to put in the time. There was no way I was going to reach my goal if I did not spend the necessary time doing the homework to get the grades that I needed and being in the gym to improve my skills. Most of the time I played with boys. I wanted to play against those who were more athletic, better skilled, and physically stronger. That was the only way I was going to improve my skills and get stronger both mentally and physically. I had to surround myself around players that were where I wanted to be. They pushed me and they encouraged me to push myself. I had to be willing to be pushed beyond what I thought were my limits. In doing so, I got a lot of bumps and bruises, I got a lot of shots blocked, and I got a lot of balls stolen. But in the end, I developed mental and physical toughness, a quicker release on my shot, and better ball handling skills. My junior year of high school, I was asked to join an AAU team. Back then, there was a couple teams for boys, but there really weren't anything of that sort for females. So I was on the very first female AAU basketball team in our area. I was playing with the top girls in our area. So this was the first opportunity that I had to gain exposure outside of playing high school ball. For the first time that I was aware of, I was being seen by college coaches. This was a big step and reaching my goal of becoming a college ball player. This allowed me to gain exposure and my coaches to begin networking with college coaches on my behalf. Along with playing AAU, I attended summer camps and clinics. If I was going to be recruited to play at the next level, I had to market myself and show the college coaches what I had to offer their programs. I had to show them what I brought to the table. Some college coaches that were interested maintained contact with my high school coaches. They reviewed my stats. They made sure that my grades and my SAT scores were where they were supposed to be so that I could get into their college academically. For the next 2 years, I continued to do things that I needed to do, but the main thing was I had to be consistent with doing them. I worked hard to improve my skills, to maintain good grades in the classroom. I was able to have success in the classroom and on the court my high school years. I ended high school with a state championship my junior year. We advanced to the state championship my senior year, but lost. I scored over 1,000 points in my high school career, and my senior year I was named the co-player of the year for our county. The morning after we lost the state championship, which was not a good time for me, but the highlight, the morning after, I received a phone call from the coach from Providence College. He had been to the championship game. He knew I was down because you get there and you want to win it. But he called me that next morning and he said, "I know you're disappointed, but I've got some good news for you." He says, "You have been accepted into Providence College and I'm calling to offer you a full basketball scholarship." I had reached that goal that I had set 4 years prior. And again, it took a lot to get there. And I actually exceeded my goal. I wanted to play college basketball, but never did I dream that I would be playing at a Division I school in the Big East Conference. So what I'd like to do is review the steps that I took to reach my goals. First off, I had to establish the goal and make sure that it was a realistic one. It's very important that when you're setting goals that they're realistic. If you set an unrealistic goal, you are most likely going to become discouraged through the process, and then in the long run probably end up giving up. With being realistic, we are focusing on how we can make that goal come true for ourselves. Then next, we have to develop a positive attitude and mindset. Believe that your goal is achievable. There is a saying, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. Having a positive attitude means that you are expecting good things to happen. You don't dwell on the problems and the difficulties that you may experience, but rather you learn from your mistakes and you move on. You can't get stuck in a negative attitude or allow fear to set in. You can't develop a lack of self-esteem or passivity, and you cannot let failures or obstacles stand in your way, but instead find ways to overcome them. Next, you have to establish a support system and create a team of people that will assist you and hold you accountable. Surround yourself with people that will support you in your endeavors, with people that want to see you succeed and are willing to assist you in doing so. People that will hold you accountable and doing things that you need to do to reach your goals. Next, dedicate the time that it will take to learn, grow, and become better educated in the areas required to fulfill your goal. Be willing to put in the time. And I can't say that enough. You have to be willing to put into time. Always be open to learning new things, to broaden your understanding. Learning is a lifelong process. You'll never know everything that there is to know, but The main thing is that you put in the work to sharpen your skills and perfect your craft. Then you have to surround yourself with people that are where you want to be. I did this by a lot of times playing with boys and then getting a mentor. The mentor was someone who has already accomplished what I was trying to achieve. Someone who had already gone through the process that I was experiencing. I was able to talk with her, shadow her, and get advice and constructive criticism. This is something that you can do through internships, fellowships, things of that sort. Next was networking. Networking was very important. If I wanted to play college basketball, I had to get out there and get exposed in front of college coaches. So networking is what opens doors for you that otherwise could not be open. For better or for worse, it's not just what you know or are capable of doing, it's also who you know. That's important to advance yourself. You can also learn tremendous amount from people in your network who have experience and expertise. You have to be visible. People have to know who you are, what you're doing, and what you're capable of. And to do that, you have to be intentional. Go where the people are that you want to meet. Got to go to them because they're not always going to come to you. And then lastly, be consistent in all that you are doing. Show up every day ready to do what it takes to fulfill your goal. You can't afford to take a day off. Consistency is the key. Establish a routine and a schedule and then stick to it. So, those were the steps that I followed to achieve my goals of attending college and playing college basketball. What some don't realize is that once you accomplish your goals, there is even more work to be done. It's not about just accomplishing your goal, but it's about being able to maintain it, to be able to function and be successful at the level that you've accomplished. I can remember my first day of preseason practice. I walked into the gym with my new teammates. I was definitely a little nervous, but I felt that I did what I needed to do to be there. I felt that I belonged. Boy, was I in for a rude awakening. That first preseason workout was the toughest practice that I had ever experienced all my years of playing basketball. When I arrived at Providence, I thought I was at the top of my game, but I found out very quickly that there was so much more that I had to learn. I knew following that first preseason practice that if I was going to make it at the college level, I would have to step up my game. Stepping up my game started with setting another goal and working to accomplish it. I experienced great success at Providence, on the court and in the classroom. I did so because I continued to set and accomplish goals. Now, let me be clear. There were setbacks, disappointing times, hard knocks along the way. Through it all, I did not allow these setbacks to deter me. I turned those stumbling blocks into stepping stones and worked even harder to fulfill my goals. My junior year was that fork in the road for me. I found out my junior year that I was pregnant. And I had a decision to make. Am I going to continue to fulfill this goal? And is it something that I can do having a child? And after talking with family and coaches and mentors, I made a decision that I still wanted to pursue this goal. So I redshirted my junior year, and I took off the second semester. During that time off, I got married, I had my child, and 2 weeks after having him, I was back in the gym. My son was in the corner of the gym in a bassinet. But the great thing about it was I had the support system in place that helped me to do the things that I needed to do. My son literally grew up in a gym, and because of that, and we say light the fire, I lit his fire for basketball. And he went on and was a high school standout, was a college All-American, and then went on to play professional basketball for 8 years. So my coaches did not just teach me the concepts and fundamentals of basketball, but they used athletics to build on the moral and ethical foundation that was laid by my parents. There is a saying, it takes a village. They became a part of my village. They taught me how to be committed and dedicated to what I was doing. They taught me how I needed to work hard for everything that I wanted, and even harder to keep it. That being on time was late, what it meant to be part of a team, how to be a team player, and a leader within the team. And that sometimes meant that I had to make personal sacrifices to achieve team success. My teammates were also a great big part of that. I don't know how I would have gotten through it without them. Learning these principles through athletics and being able to apply them in all areas of my life has allowed me to be successful and positively affect lives of others. We all have that one thing that we are passionate about. Take that strong desire and enthusiasm and develop it into something that will allow you to grow and positively affect the lives of others. I want to encourage all of you to pursue your dreams. Take the necessary steps to make your dreams a reality. You can accomplish anything that you put your heart, mind, and energy into. I shared some of my story with you on today, and I encourage you to begin to write your own. It starts with an achievable goal and a made-up mind. So what are you waiting for? I want to close with this. Once you have lit your fire and it is burning bright, be the spark that lights someone else's. In other words, pay it forward. I said before that it takes a village. Be willing to share your life experiences, both successes and struggles, with someone else. Be the light at the end of someone else's tunnel. There are so many ways that you can do so. Volunteer, mentor, coach, just are a few. There are so many people out there that are looking for someone to pour into them. I know that I would not be where I am today if my parents, mentors, coaches, teachers, teammates, counselors were not there to take the time to lead, guide, and support and direct me. I therefore strive every day to make a difference in the life of someone else. Help them to put their vision into action and make their dreams a reality. Light the fire. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Helen. And of course, if you have any questions for Helen, feel free to chime in on the chat throughout the morning. We've got our chat team available and open for you all throughout today's lineup of speakers. And we want to encourage you, too, to share your Light the Fire experience throughout the morning, whether it's on Instagram stories, on Facebook, Twitter, whatever it may be. Be sure to hashtag Proceed to Lead, hashtag Light the Fire, and be sure to tag Proceed to Lead as well. And we'll be sure to share those posts and stories all throughout the morning. Next up on our lineup is Eric Rollins, a young man after the heart of God, born and raised in Hagerstown, Maryland. He was groomed for life in ministry by his parents, John and Angie Rollins, and his grandmother, Ruth Ann Monroe. In November of 2005, Eric joined Kingdom Life Cathedral Ministries, where Bishop Sterling and Yvette Porter serve as senior pastors. Under the leadership of Bishop Porter, Eric has been further equipped for the work of ministry and was licensed as a local elder for the King's Apostle Church World Ministries Incorporated in September of 2005. 2006. In 2007, Eric became the youth pastor of KLCM. In 2009, he was named co-president of the National Youth Conference for King's Apostle Church World Ministries Incorporated. And in 2013, he was named the National Youth Conference president. As Eric continues to say yes to the Lord, doors of opportunity and advancement flood his life. And in May of 2013, he was elevated to the executive pastor of Kingdom Life Cathedral Ministries. Eric brings us a fiery word, which is seemingly perfect for Light the Fire 2020. So get ready to dive into working on that spiritual fitness. Welcome to our Light the Fire stage, Mr. Eric Rollins.
Hello and good morning. I'm so excited about this opportunity to share with all of you today. And I want to say thank you to the visionary, to our leader. Cannell has not only been a friend, but he's been a great brother. And, over these last, I would say like 8 months, I've definitely built a relationship with him that's been amazing. His wife and his daughter sometimes confuses he and I, when she's looking up quickly, but it's been a great experience. And I'm so excited to share with you today a little bit about Light the Fire. So pretty much about 4 years ago, I started my personal fitness journey, and I began to not want to necessarily be bulky or have a lot of muscle. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to begin to feel better about myself, about my image, about just life in general, having no idea the impact that was going to take, not only physically but also spiritually. So today, as we connect the spiritual aspect with the fitness aspect, I really believe that we can come to a place of greater understanding of not only who we are, but what we think. As we know, as a man thinks, so is he. So as I begin to think those positive thoughts, as I begin to think that I'm well, as I begin to think that I'm spiritually fit, I become well and I become spiritually fit. But on the other side to that is, if I don't feel well, if I don't think well, I don't become well. So spiritual fitness is a connection of the spiritual aspect, building yourself up in the most holy faith, building yourself up in prayer, building yourself up with the Word of God, and also in fellowship with working out. And working out, whatever that looks like to you. It may be lifting weights, it may be running, it may be walking, whatever you want to do. It comes down to what type of quality life you want to live. I want to live a quality life, and the only way that I can live a quality life is if I put my best foot forward and move in that direction. So as we come to this understanding, I want to share this plug that my new CEO just said about 3 weeks ago. He said to the patients, if you want to be in recovery, your recovery has to mean more to you than it means to me. And I have applied that spiritually, and also I've applied that to my fitness journey. If you want to live a spiritual life, or if you want to live a life of fitness, you have to want it more than the coach wants it. You have to want it more than your family wants it or your doctor wants it. You have to dig deeper. You have to go to the place that no one else wants to go to. You have to feel, within yourself that you want a better life, but you want a quality life with that. So I'm passionate because a lot of times we see individuals that are living and breathing and moving and having great success, but they're tired. They're fatigued. They have a lot of things going on. And I believe if we would begin to, have that fitness conversation with ourselves, that we can have a lot more energy, that we can be a lot more stronger. We can have a lot more, a stamina so we can move forward. Again, there was a song that came out a couple years ago that said, I'm living my best life. And they had cars and they had homes and they had the necklaces and they had all these great things. And while those materialistic things are important, those things do not mean much if your life is filled with not only chaos and confusion, but also if you're living a life that's not healthy. We have to become healthy both spiritually and physically, because as I'm healthy physically and spiritually, I begin to think better. I begin to behave better. I begin to move better because I want that best life. I want to live a life that's not only befitting for me, but also for my family and my future. Again, as a man thinks, so is he. And when you really begin to look at the Bible talks about how the body is a temple. And because the body is a temple, we damage our temple daily by the foods that we eat, by the things that we drink, by the activity that we do, not even realizing it. And then when I'm supposed to be at the height of my life, I become very sluggish because I'm not prepared. I think that they mentioned earlier, you have to plan. If you don't plan, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss those opportunities to move forward and to be the better you that you want to be. Again, it's about a quality of life. What type of quality do you want? Do you want just an okay life? Then do okay things. Do you want a great life? Then do great things. Spiritual fitness requires both discipline physically and spiritually. About 2 weeks ago, I have made up in my mind to start going back to the gym at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. is very early, especially with me starting a new job, putting in about 14 hours a day some days, and doing the work of ministry, being a boyfriend, being a son, being an uncle, having so many things going on. But I have to learn how to discipline myself so I can be the best version of myself. So I get up in the morning at 5 o'clock, I do what I need to do, and I'm in that gym by 5:30. So between 5:30 and 6:30, I'm lifting weights, I'm running, I'm doing things that helps me build not only my day, but my future. I want to live a great life. And if I want to live a great life, I have to be a disciplined individual. So that's not only discipline with my physical fitness, but it's also discipline with my spiritual fitness. I have to spend time in prayer. I have to spend time, reading the Bible. This week, a few of the leaders of my church, we are on a time of prayer and a time of just, being together. And it's great because they're holding me accountable and I'm holding them accountable. Every day at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. we're praying. That brings us together spiritually. And so often, because we lack accountability, we don't have those people that can encourage us and help us move forward. And most times, whether this is a relationship, a personal relationship, a professional relationship, you have issues where there is no accountability and where there is no communication. For the last 2 years, I'm teaching, my staff, and I'm presenting, and I'm talking about both communication and accountability. Where there's one, there's another. Where you have communication, you have accountability, and where you have accountability, you also have communication. So we have to begin to dig deeper. We have to go to the place that is uncomfortable, because as we're uncomfortable, we really begin to get those results. I want results. I don't want to look, like the Hawk, or I don't want to look like, anyone that has all these bulging muscles, but I do want to begin to feel differently. I want to begin to think differently, so I do every day move forward. Kelsey, who's a great friend and a sister of mine, she has been disciplined for at least a year and a half working out, and she's in the background going like this. She looks great, not because, she's working out every day, but her mindset is different. People that work out, more often than not, they do have an increased self-esteem and self-confidence. And that does not necessarily come from working out, but it does come from you putting in the discipline and with the expectation that you're going to move forward and you're going to reach your goal. Working out is not about losing weight to everyone. Working out can just be about feeling better. And I'm saying this repeatedly because I want us as a people to live better. I want us as a people to live differently. It doesn't matter what someone else says about you. It doesn't matter how someone else, saw you do something that was not great 5 or 10 years ago. But what does matter is what you say about yourself. What does matter is that you make the conscious decision to move forward, to live your best life, to live a quality life. Every day I wake up with the expectation that if I do one thing and one thing only, I'm going to give it 110%. If that's to only make my bid for that day, guess what? I'm going to do a great job and make my bid for that day. I don't leave my house ever without making my bed up. That is very challenging to me. As a child, my mom would make my sister and I, before we went to the bus stop, make our bed and just be ready for the day. As I got older, I realized that was a discipline that she was teaching us not only in responsibility, but also about, being successful. Because some people don't do that, and they start their day in chaos. They start their day, in a disarray. But for me, I've learned how to take the extra 5 minutes to make up my bed. We can do the same thing when we work out. Maybe you can't work out 60 minutes a day. Maybe you can't work out 30 minutes a day, but start somewhere. Maybe you can't pray for 10 minutes a day. Maybe you can't pray for 20 minutes a day, but start somewhere. Again, as a man thinks, so is he. So I have to begin to think the right things and begin to do the right things. So one of the things that I want to share, and I want to, pivot right here and say, is that you have what it takes. You have what it takes to be spiritually fit. You have what it takes to be the best version of you. You have what it takes to be successful. You have what it takes. And you cannot allow your insecurities or your deficiencies or even your failures of yesterday to dictate who you are today and what you want for tomorrow. Today's a new day. And because today's a new day, I'm going to give it 110%. When I woke up this morning and I went to the gym, I was excited. Even though I got there at 5:45 and not 5:30, I said, these next 45 minutes, I'm going to own this gym. These next 45 minutes, I'm going to give it whatever I need to so I can have that discipline in my day. And I'm saying that because if you put the work into it and the determination into it, it's not about the amount of time that you do something, it's the quality that you do something. I can spend 5 minutes doing something poorly, or I can spend 5 minutes doing something incredibly great, and the only thing that's consistent is my time. So what are you spending time doing? How are you spending your morning? How are you spending your afternoon? How are you spending your night? You are the one that sets the tone of your day. You're the one that sets the trajectory of your future. So spiritual fitness looks like this. All right, this is where I want to be, and this is what I have to do to get there. I have to start every day walking for 1 minute. I have to start every day just doing steps for whatever it is. You have to create that mindset and that expectation that you want. You have to set that expectation even in prayer or even, studying the Word of God. Now, about 2 years ago, I started using my timer, and I love a certain brand of technology, and I'm not going to put it out there because I'm not going to advertise for them, but I have my phone, I have, my laptop, I have everything is this certain brand. But the great thing here is that I have a timer, and I used to use my timer, and I would set it for 10 minutes each, 10 minutes in prayer, 10 minutes of reading the Bible, and 10 minutes of reading a book. And once my alarm went off, I went from one to the other to the other. And some people say, well, why are you doing that? What does that mean? I have carved out 30 minutes of every day to spend time doing those three things. Now, do those things advance? Absolutely. So now there's not just 10 minutes of me doing it. It turns into an hour of me doing each one of those every day. So instead of me scrolling on Facebook, instead of me looking on Instagram, instead of me trying to do some video on TikTok, I'm going to spend time being the best version of myself and studying others and studying different situations. Why do I do that? Because I come from the mindset, whatever it takes. Because I have goals, I have to do whatever it takes for me to reach my goal. I have to do whatever it takes for me to get to the place that I know I want to be. Now, there are some individuals that says, well, it doesn't take all that. And it may not take all that for you. And that's okay. But for others, it may take that and so much more. And we have to come to the place of not only accepting yourself, but accepting others and their journeys. So often we begin to judge individuals by the way we look, by the way we smell, by the way that, we perceive them. But the moment that we stop judging others is a moment that we look at our own selves. It's a moment that we say, you know what? I want to support you. And the best way that I can support you is by being the best version of myself. I don't begin to judge you. I don't begin to cast, any type of idea against you, but I'm going to come in. I'm going to speak to you. I'm going to engage you in conversation. I'm going to do whatever it takes so you're a great person and so I'm a great person in that moment. Now, someone may walk away and they may talk badly about you. They may call someone, they may speak badly about you as well. That's okay, because that moment was a great moment. And as you focus on the moment, we don't focus on everything else. I don't focus on the deficiency. I don't focus on what someone else is saying. I don't focus on what someone else is feeling. Why? Because I have my spiritual fitness, or my spiritual IQ, my fitness IQ. As a man thinks, so is he. So I begin to walk differently. I begin to talk differently. I begin to act differently because I'm putting every foot in the right direction. Now, as they used to say years ago, don't get it twisted. I don't feel like I'm perfect whatsoever. I'm not. I make mistakes. I fall. I'm in error, and I'll be the first one that says that. I also realize that my mistake does not form my next moment. My mistake does not form my future. I learn from it. I'm accountable to it. And then I begin to say, like that little train, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And that begins to change to the place of, I know I can. I know I can. And because I know that I can, I do whatever it takes for me to get there. So spiritual fitness starts somewhere. Attend a church. Right now, churches all over the world, they're on every stream of social media that's out there. They're even on TikTok. They're on Twitter. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. And engage virtually if you don't want to go to a physical place for worship. You can get on a phone somewhere and you can call someone and they can pray with you. Prayer is simply a two-way conversation between you and God. And we have to learn how to talk to God, because if I don't talk to God, I'm going to talk to someone else. Everyone else is going to have their own idea and their own plan for my life. But as I begin to talk to God, I get God's plan and God's agenda, not just for my day, but also for my future. So I'm talking, I'm praying, but then I'm also, even if I don't have the money to afford a gym membership, I'm going to walk around my neighborhood every day. I'm going to walk up and down my steps every day for 5 minutes. Whatever it is, we spend so much time doing things that are useless, and it really does not benefit us whatsoever. But when I begin to say, I want that quality life, I make it happen. When I begin to say that I want to move differently, I make that happen. With my new relationship journey, I've had the opportunity to have some tough conversations, but also I've had the opportunity to do some self-evaluation. I can't be so quickly to respond to things like I did as a single man, right? Because as a single man, I can do whatever I want when I want to. But as a man that's in a relationship, I have to take your feelings into consideration. I have to also take my actions in how that impacts you and then how that impacts us. That's discipline. Spiritual fitness is about discipline. Relationship is about discipline. October of last year, I remember I was doing a leadership conference for my church, and we had an incredible time. And I remember that morning, I was drinking my cranberry juice. I love cranberry juice, not the juice cocktail, because the juice cocktail is disgusting, and people mix that with other things. I just like 100% cranberry juice. But I was drinking my cranberry juice. I was working out, and I remember that I felt like I was on cloud 1,000. And the reason why I felt like that was because my spiritual fitness was intact. Because I was working out, I was praying, I was reading the Bible, I was having great conversations with myself, with others, because I wanted this moment greater than anything and anyone else. So start somewhere. Spiritual fitness means that you have to start somewhere with your spiritual life and with your physical life. Do an inventory. Do an inventory of how you feel. Are you absolutely, we can do those quick jumping jacks, right? We can do those lunges, whatever it is. Do the quick inventory, because as you do the inventory, you begin to process yourself, and you also begin to process your strengths and your weaknesses. It's okay to have a weakness. It's okay not to be as strong as Kelsey. It's okay not to be as strong as Cannell, but guess what? You are the strongest version of yourself right now. Can you become stronger? Absolutely, with discipline. Spiritually, you can become stronger spiritually right now if you have discipline. By all means necessary, do whatever it takes so you can move forward. So again, Cannell, thank you, man, for this opportunity. This is my second year sharing with Light the Fire. I'm excited. I'm excited about Proceed to Lead. I'm excited about this opportunity because guess what? As a people, we're growing. We're getting better. We're becoming physically fit. We're becoming spiritually fit because now is our time to rise. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.
Didn't see you there. Eric, awesome job. That was fantastic. You had me running through walls and doing jumping jacks back here in the studio. Fantastic work there. And of course, if you guys have any questions for Eric, feel free to chime in the chat this morning. I'm like weirdly out of breath right now. Next up on the stage, we have got Kristin Holt. Kristin is a creative marketing powerhouse and native of Hagerstown, Maryland, a 2002 graduate of South Hagerstown High and a 2012 graduate of Hagerstown Community College with an associate's in business and letter of recognition in management. In 2018, Kristin graduated Frostburg State University with a bachelor's in psychology and a minor in marketing. She's currently a number 33 class member of Leadership Washington County, graduating in October of 2020. And she's got a birthday coming up tomorrow, so leave a little bit of some birthday emojis in the chat throughout her talk this morning. Let's give it up for Kristin Holt.
There yet? Is everybody on fire? I mean, my hands are sweating. That's a cause of fire sometimes. Thank you, Cannell. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today and to share with everyone what it means to turn vision into action. Your culture is the fire of this organization, and one of the reasons Captivated Culture was a vision and now a reality. Thank you to the leaders in our community who wholeheartedly build, serve, and lead every day. Thank you for the leaders who have come before me and paved the way. Alicia Parson, you are the first person I can remember ever telling me at the age of 15 that I was different, that I was a leader, someone who people were captivated by, and they listened to, and that I would go on to do powerful things in my life because of my heart. Thank you for believing in me and leading by example. Thank you to the leaders I get to share this stage with today. I know all of you personally. I am honored to be here with you. I am reminded of something that Eb Williams said at last year's Light the Fire. I became the leader of my own life. So what does it mean to actually turn vision into action? For me, it's simple. It's creating the means to do something and having the humility to make it happen. Can I take you on a rhetorical journey of my life? When I was 6, they called me Punky Brewster. Can you guess why? They also thought I was crazy, and that might be a little true too. I had a vision of my toy kitchen. Everyone had one. They loved it. We cooked everything in that thing. We served. And I had a vision of spaghetti. So I took my 20 Raggedy Ann dolls, cut off all of their hair, and put them into pots and pans in my toy kitchen, turning vision into action. But with my decision came consequences. My mother stormed in. She said, "Are you crazy? What's wrong with you?" Again, I was a little crazy. Immediately, I felt punished for turning my vision into action. It came with much more consequences. because after that, she told me to clean up and she beat me. But at the age of 6, I took the risk to turn my vision into action, despite the consequence, because it was worth it. Is your vision worth it? Fast forward. When I was 10, I reached my hand into a Little Debbie's brownie box and a mouse jumped on my arm. I was terrified. I'm still terrified. It was useless. I was never going to get over my fear of mice. But instead, I turned vision into action and took that same box and brownies and built 3 traps that caught all of the mice. The neighbors got wind of this and wanted me to create them traps too. It sounds so easy, but it's not. Fast forward. At the age of 17, I wanted to take my SATs. I would be the first person in my family to go to college. Instead, my family told me it was useless for me to concentrate on where I would be working the rest of my life to support my family. I now know no one ever lit their fire. But I had this fire in me to be more, to want more. And so I did. Not only did I graduate college with 120 credits, I went on to get my bachelor's in psychology and marketing, despite the generational cycle of my family. So how does one turn vision into action? By being real. It sounds so easy, but it is so hard for so many. So what does it mean to be real? It means you surrender. And that can be different for everyone. But for me, that meant surrendering to God's will for my life, despite my own plan. God said, if you intend to come with me, you have to let me lead. You are not in the driver's seat anymore, Kristin. I am. Don't run from suffering, embrace it. Follow me, and I will show you. Self-help is no help, but self-sacrifice is the way, my way. What good would it be to get everything you want and lose you, the real you? So I did it. I had to be broken. You know, like on the job application, when they tell you, do you accept constructive criticism well? And we all check yes. And the first time someone criticizes us, we are ready to quit. I never quit. I had to accept the truth about myself, the reality, and the reality requires work. That is part of the surrender. I knew it was necessary, so I did it. I did it by being humble. Humility is placing yourself at the same level as everyone else. We don't have all the answers, and we have to acknowledge that. We have to display a willingness to learn and grow from each other. Collaboration is the only way to cultivate action. It is resisting the urge to always be right, masters of letting it go, because when you are moving, you are taking action. With humility comes gratitude. Gratitude is major for me. Gratitude means to pause and give thanks. I give thanks every day for everything. No, literally everything. I met my grandmother once when I was 10, and she told me that enough is a feast. Thankfulness is the beginning of gratitude, and gratitude is the completion of thankfulness. It can only be shown by taking action. I give thanks every day. I get to do this. I get to wake up every single day and serve and build and share and protect and love. My heart is full of purpose and gratitude because I am my truest self when I am taking action towards the bigger vision. Serving my community and my clients brings me goodness. So much goodness. Watching them take action gives me vision. Do you ever feel like you are the only one who sees what needs to be done? I do. You do? Good. Now go do something. Your wildest dreams become reality when you do. Your wildest dreams become reality when you do. Your wildest dreams become reality when you do. Have you ever heard the saying that a dream is a wish that your heart makes? So how do you make that vision a reality? You do it. I do it. When I think I can, I do it. When I'm afraid, I do it. When there are no means, I still do it. Let me be real. I am not here to inspire you or motivate you. I am not here to inspire or motivate you. I want you to get up and do something. Be real with yourself and your team. This is not about me. This is about you. Because when you are not you, who are you? My clients mean everything to me. They are the reason that I am standing here today. It gives me purpose to serve. It gives me purpose to turn that service into action because it always goes towards the bigger vision. I have had the pleasure of watching this woman for the last few months take action that directly reflects her vision. She is a client. She is a friend. I want you to know the people that inspire me because they inspire me every day. I want you to know the people who take action towards their vision and how this exchange of action creates a much bigger vision. She fights dirty every single day for our community and selflessly serves with her team. Please welcome Crystal O'Brien from My Pristine Clean.
Whew, what a lineup. Thank you very much, Kristin. I'm extremely nervous right now, so bear with me. Honestly, I thought I was just here to clean. So anyway, my name is Crystal O'Brien, and I've failed. I have failed several times. Sometimes it's daily. I used to feel so defeated, so discouraged, to the point where I almost gave up several times. But not anymore. Not after I've met several good friends and mentors in my life. Whew, I'm starting to tear up a little bit here. But I don't know who here is a fan of The Punisher, but I started binge watching Netflix one day, and I was watching Frank Castle sit there being held hostage, getting the living heck beat out of him. He was to the point where he was almost dead. And just as soon as you would think, oh, that's it, that's the end of the show. After that one last big blow to the face, he stood back up, spit blood everywhere, looked the guy straight in the eye and said, I'm going to keep this censored, but he basically said, hit harder. So I take that every day in my life, especially when I'm feeling extremely discouraged. I may have a big bloody black eye. I may be spitting out blood. But I stand up. I adjust my vision, and I take action. Okay, story time. When I was 8 years old, I was in Catholic school, and I got busted selling homemade jewelry to my peers. I thought it was a great idea. I went home and wrote down my first business plan with a crayon and construction paper. I was making money, but again, I got busted. So my principal, Sister Jonita, came into the classroom made a very colorful example out of me, which was very embarrassing, but hey, I'm still here. That was the day I learned the word entrepreneur. She wrote it down on the chalkboard. She explained to all of us what an entrepreneur is, and she proceeded to make a very positive example out of my embarrassing discipline that day. From there, after learning that I was not allowed to make sales on school property, my friends and I ended up making a club within our peers, and we developed fundraisers to help raise money for our school and the basketball team we had, because it was only one sport. It was a small school. And yes, I played basketball. And yes, I was still really short. So, okay. Fast forward, I worked the 9 to 5. I started going to school. I had a job in particular. I was around 20 years old. I was working with a very seasoned accountant, and she and I came up with a brilliant idea to help save the company a lot of money. But she didn't want to pitch it. She left it to me. So here I am, 20 years old. Thanks, Shelley. 20 years old, pitching to the CEO of the company I worked for. Needless to say, he didn't like my idea. I got shot down. I was 20 years old, just working on my degree. Yeah, so that was very discouraging. That was another blow to the face. That was a black eye. I stood back up. I kept going. And from there, I'm like, okay, I'm joining the military. So that was fun. I learned a lot about leadership. I learned a lot about camaraderie. I learned a bunch of fun stuff about driving bulldozers. And I also learned a mean war face, which I still use daily. But I'm running out of time, but I want to let everyone know, don't be afraid to take that next step. Don't be afraid to jump in. Don't be afraid to learn how to swim. You're going to have haters. You're going to have people punching you in the face, expecting you not to stand back up. Spit out that blood. Just keep going. Stay motivated. Let that fire inside you burn. You can have someone burn your house to the ground, with nothing left. You can have people saying, you'll never make it. Oh yeah, you're gonna start a cleaning company? Good luck. Still to this day, when I tell people I own a cleaning company, they're like, good for you. Yeah, good for me. I am proud of what I do. I am proud to employ the staff that I employ. It is the most rewarding thing I've ever done besides becoming a wife and mother. I have people talking crap all the time. But you know what? You burn my house down? That's fine. You best believe I'm going to Lowe's tomorrow. I'm getting that lumber. I'm getting that brick. I'm getting that mortar. And I'm going to rebuild bigger and better. And whenever those haters come to me, after they see I'm rebuilding my home, my fortress, how are you doing that? I say, you know what? I may not help you rebuild your house, but I wish you the best, and I can refer you to a really good contractor. So I'm done here, but thank you very much, Kristin, and thank you everybody for listening to me. And this is, wow, thank you.
Are you still fired up? I am a rule breaker. That is what I do. I break rules, but in the best of ways. Thank you, Crystal. I am proud of my clients. They listen and they take action. They are just as passionate about their vision as I am to market it. I have watched them drive Uber to pay their employees. I have watched them establish themselves and hustle every day, selflessly serving our community in so many ways without acknowledgement. Thank you, Carlos, for being here today to support me. It is leaders like you, the one in the trenches where it's not pretty or glamorous, that continue to take action because the vision is so clear. How many of you have clear vision? How many of you take action towards that clear vision? How many of you have muddy vision? How many of you take action towards that muddy vision? Because when you take action towards muddy vision, it begins to become clear. Are you still fired up? I want you to remember this as you move forward in taking action towards your vision, towards anything that you do every single day, to the things that you want to continue to do every single day. I want you to seek heat at your feet, because when you are on fire, it is uncomfortable, and that's how things change. So what does it mean to have that fire under your feet? Thank you.
Thank you so much again to Kristin and Crystal, two amazing superstars in our community. If you've got an opportunity to follow them on their socials, please do, because it is so awesome to see so many great leaders and female role models in our area. And be sure to adjust your vision and take action. That was a fabulous message. We also want to thank Hope Community Church again for allowing us to play along here in their venue this morning. Sam and Brittany and the amazing production team are true hustlers for their house, and we're honored to be able to partner with them on this project. If you've never been to Hope Community Church, we want you to get a look at what to expect on a weekend here and online. Check out this video.
In life, we can be better together. We can learn more from each other. We can grow stronger together. Find community. Find faith. Find hope for life.
Fantastic. For more information and to check out their latest messages, visit myhc.church. Again, that's myhc.church. We want to welcome you back again to our Light the Fire 2020 live stream this morning. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about taking action from vision and lighting a fire for your passion. Live from the stage, we have an incredible panel of community leaders, as well as our moderator, Laura Wallace, another incredible individual in our community. So without any further ado, we're going to pass things on to our stage for our incredible panel discussion. If you have any questions, feel free to put them down in the chat. Here's Laura.
Welcome back. Oh my gosh. If your heart is not as full as your notebook, I want you to pause, rewind, and go back, because some powerful messages have come through today. I'm going to go there. Look, my last name may be Wallace, but I have a really fond feeling that this panel is going to go way smoother than any other current events this week. Just saying. I'm stoked, because these three women are some of the most incredible community leaders that I've ever come in contact with. And I can't look at Shelly because we're criers. And we will end up going there today. So, our community depends on visionaries, passionate men, women, and children to make a change, to embrace their gutsy, and to really impact our community. So today we're going to be going a little bit behind the scenes, some of the amazing things that these women have done in our community, but also some of the things that we're faced with. We're going to talk about the great stuff, we're going to talk about the challenges, and we're going to talk about how we can work together to overcome them. First, I have the most amazing councilwoman, Shelley McIntyre. She is not only councilwoman, but she is a small business owner and community leader. Her creative and contagious energy shines through her love for public service. I've witnessed it firsthand. She's worked positively to represent the people of Hagerstown and to create future opportunities. She also served on the board of directors for Brooks House and Leadership Washington County, and supports numerous local nonprofits. As councilwoman, she quickly formed programs including Bridge to Change, a Hagerstown Youth Advisory Council, and Washington County Recovers. Shelley, it's a true honor to have you with us here today, and it's a true honor to share the stage with you. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you to Connell and to Light the Fire. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. So, your journey to public service was born kind of unexpectedly. Tell me a little bit about your experience with Leadership Washington County and how that ignited your fire to go completely all in.
So when I was accepted to leadership Washington County and applied, I really thought that I was going to be a better boss. I thought it was going to make me this amazing employer and that everyone would want to come work for McIntyre HVAC. Little did I know how much it was about personal growth and learning about your community and the great things that you could give back to. So it was the kickstart as to why I became a councilwoman. There was an individual from my class 30, best class ever, because you have to say that.
Shameless plug.
Yes, sorry. But Jeff Butts, when the appointment came available for the city council position, he thought, go ahead and throw your hat in the ring. And I think that it's kind of that thing that you see downtown all the time, be the change that you wish you could see, or, it's be the change. And I think everyone was just really tired of me telling them that this is the way it should be. Oh, I have an idea. So I threw my hat in the ring, and I'm still pinching myself now to know that here I am in the community and giving back in public service. So it's a dream come true.
Well, our community has greatly benefited from you and your service and just your literally contagious energy. So thank you so much for all that you do. I'm going to move on now to Miss Naomi Evans. She is she's a South Hagerstown graduate, small business owner, youth advocate, and community volunteer. Her mission to nurture the youth in underserved communities is prevalent in her role as program director at a community center, where she focuses on dismantlement of the playground to prison pipeline and her work to revitalize the Ruth Ann Monroe Summer Basketball League. She is passionate, resilient, unapologetic, and determined to use her compassion for humanity to shift the course for today's society. Naomi, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you to Canal, and thank you, Kristin, for bringing me on board. I appreciate it.
So tell me a little bit about your experience, what inspired you, and then some of the challenges that you faced when, working to dismember the playground to prison pipeline system.
So first, acknowledging that the playground to prison pipeline exists, because a lot of people do not believe in the system is actually designed to funnel out and push children out of schools and into the criminal justice system, unfortunately. And you criminalize the youth in school when you suspend them for small infractions, and they end up in the juvenile justice system at a very young age, which kind of shapes their mindset for their future. So with restorative practices, it's kind of offering a relationship with law enforcement, the community, the teachers, and the leaders, and the nonprofit that I formerly worked for, the Robert W. Johnson Community Center, where we focused on the youth and restorative practices. And instead of putting kids out when they were not behaving or listening, we had those conversations in the dialogue that opened the door to help us better understand what exactly is going on in the kid's life, because a lot of times that people don't realize kids go through probably more than what we go through as adults, because as adults we have gone through those experiences that build our character and help us be more resilient when we do face challenges. But kids don't, they're young, their minds are still forming, so when they go through trauma, it impacts them more. So people don't realize that kids probably go through a lot before they even make it to school during the daytime. So, if you don't eat before you go to school, or your parents not home, or they're arguing, or they're using, and you have to carry all that with you into school, and no one asks these questions, like if you have a child who doesn't have their homework or they're acting out, they just get sent to the office and they're suspended, and no one asks those probing questions that may uncover the reasons for their behavior. So for me, my mission is to dismantle the playground and prison pipeline through being accountable for what I can do for the children in our community. Myself, my cousin Ebony, my cousin Tierra, and Shawena, we have formed a nonprofit about a year ago, the Beyond the Arc Foundation, and our mission is to provide quality experiences, exposure, and education. And those are the things that we focus on. A lot of people don't know that we do anything outside of the Summer Basketball League, because we really don't advertise the things that we do. I was always told growing up that when you do good deeds and favors that you don't advertise, that you're not rewarded for that. in the spiritual realm for those types of things. So we don't really advertise a lot. And I guess because we are a nonprofit, maybe we should put a little more out there, but you'll be seeing more of us in the near future.
Well, I'm glad that we are seeing and hearing you today. Thank you so much for being such an advocate and a voice and a positive role model for the children in our community.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, we have the amazing Shana Ruff. Shana is the Director of Development at Girls Inc. of Washington County, where she is dedicated to their mission of inspiring girls to be strong, smart, and bold. The cornerstone of her work is about making lasting changes with families and children by building character and personal values, thus resulting in a better community. She serves on the board of directors at the Maryland Theater, serves on the Patient and Family Advisory Council for Meritus Health, the City of Hagerstown Youth Advisory Council, and is a member of the Women's Giving Circle of Washington County. Shana, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and also thank you for everyone's support of Girls Inc. through this amazing event.
Yes, this is incredible. So at Girls Inc., the mission is to inspire all girls to be strong, smart, and bold. How do we infuse those same characteristics into our community?
Yes, so at Girls Inc., like you said, our mission is to inspire all girls to be strong, smart, and bold. And how we do that is through a curriculum where we focus on healthy living, academic enrichment, and leadership and life skills. So as a community and as individuals, if we could each prioritize those things. So like Eric talked about, prioritize our quality of life by getting up and moving, fueling our bodies properly, taking good care of ourselves. It enhances not only our quality of life as individuals, but as a community as a whole. On the smart side, you know, how do we continue to educate ourselves on issues that are important in the community and listen to each other and understand what people are going through? And then on the leadership side, be bold, be gutsy, like you talked about. You know, let's make sure that we make our voices heard, and let's advocate and stand up for the things that mean the most to us.
Amazing. Well, I know that the Girls Inc. program is a staple in our community and serves so many lives in such a positive way. So thank you and the entire organization for what you do.
Thank you.
For this next segment, I'm going to open up the questions for all of our panelists because there's just so much variety, and I think it's so important to really just infuse not just differences, but opinions and personal experiences in the lives that we all live together. So as I had the amazing opportunity to research these courageous women, I found it really interesting that several of you grew up here, moved, built on your education, you know, did life things, but ultimately chose to come back to Washington County. I think that there's often a mindset of like, you know, especially when we're teenagers, it's like, I'm getting out of here, I'm getting out of this place. But you chose to come back. So I'm curious, for those of you who did that, what made you decide to come home to Washington County?
I'll start. So I moved to Charleston, South Carolina, which is an absolutely amazing city. It's beautiful. The people there are lovely and amazing. And the biggest thing for me is as much fun as I had while I was there for college and as much as I enjoyed that city as a whole, my support system was here in Washington County. I'm very close with my family. And at that point in my life, I was certainly not going down a bad path, but I needed a better support system than what I had there, and that drew me home. And then once I was here, I realized, you know, how great a community this really is. And there is so much potential, and there's so many opportunities you have to truly make a difference that I ended up staying.
My answer is really simple: motherhood. I had a daughter here that needed me to parent her. So I had to set that aside, and I came here and I actually took a different career path, working with youth. So it all worked out.
And although I did not leave, Hagerstown is an amazing place to raise a family. So that's why we all come back. Hagerstown is a fantastic and beautiful place to raise a family.
Thank you. Several of you are small business owners, or are running an organization here in the community. I think that we're always wondering, how can we do more? How can we give back more? So what advice would you give to our business community as far as what can you do outside of your standard operation to invest more in the community?
I'll take that first. I think that we as employers have to advocate for our community. So it's great for us to enjoy our customers and reap those benefits of customer service and how to be better. But I think that in order to create better employees, we have to teach our employees how to give back, and so they can find that fulfillment like we have. One of the things that we do at our company is every quarter we have our employees select a charitable organization that is local to the community for us to be able to give back to or for us to be able to serve. And I think that getting your employees involved into what the issues are and to where they can help, it helps them to teach their own families and to be good servants of their community.
Kind of piggyback on what Shelley said, is serve is the main thing. I live by the quote by Leo Tolstoy, is the sole meaning of life is to serve humanity. And I think that is something that we kind of get away from, is being humble enough to serve one another. The communities are very divided, and if we could just get outside of ourselves and look and see where the need is. Money usually is a big need, so I know small businesses aren't thought to have that much money, but anything counts, and if you can't offer your money, definitely time. Our community is not that big, so it's not hard to find out, who is having what or what needs to be done. So, yeah.
I think it's also really important to align your company mission with the organizations in the community. So where is the natural heartbeat of your business? What calls you and your employees? What really just lights your fire, so to speak? To get, to make you want to say, how can I help? Because oftentimes, one of our speakers earlier mentioned is it's not always going to come to you. Sometimes you have to go after it. So really just asking that question, how can I help? How can I serve? I find it amazing and just so incredible that several of you, all of you, but particularly several of you, have invested not only your careers, but your lives into investing in the youth of our community. Tell me a little bit about why that is so important and, some of the things that are happening behind the scenes to make that happen.
The youth are the future of our community, of the world. And the number one key factor on if a youth will succeed or fall out of the pipeline is having a mentor and a role model there in their corner to support them. And so by dedicating, whether it's your time volunteering for an organization that's youth-oriented, whether it is it's being a coach, whether it's being a role model to a young person, you are making a difference by doing that.
I believe that the supporting the children are important because, unfortunately, they say it takes a village, but the village is kind of broken right now, and kids don't have anyone standing in the gap for them. So by supporting the children, you are giving them an opportunity to learn behaviors or mindsets that they might not otherwise receive at home because there might not be anyone in the household teaching them those important skills or values or beliefs. So we have an opportunity to kind of shape that for them before they get older. And when once you're an adult, it's kind of hard to change your mind and your mindset. So just starting early and making sure that we're standing in the gap.
They're sponges, right? They're so pliable. Shelley?
I mean, Whitney Houston said it. The children are the future, right? Shayna said it too. Whitney and Shayna. One of the things that I learned, a quick story, we were trying to decide on new playground equipment at the city park. And I was at a neighborhood's first meeting, and the people that involved in that organization are great, and they were trying to give all these ideas. And then all of a sudden, someone said, why don't we ask the kids what they want? The adults aren't going to play on the playground equipment, so we took the survey to Bester Elementary School and had the kids decide what the playground equipment was going to be. And even that simple act, those kids are the future of that playground, and that's what we need. We need their voice, we need their opinions, we need their ideas, because it's their community that we're trying to build.
I love it. We forget, right? Like they have a voice, they have an opinion, they want to contribute to the greater cause. I would love to sit up here and say that everything is perfect and it's puppy dogs and rainbows, but let's just be honest. The world is broken and our community has broken pieces. As many amazing things that are happening, the truth is there's something that needs our time, love, and attention. So tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that are currently happening in our community and how can we work together as a unity to bring those pieces back together?
I think our community is divided. We have a lot of entities that kind of serve the same purpose, but no one collaborates. So collaboration, I think, would be something that would be very powerful. The kids seeing us come together for a greater purpose, because kids unfortunately don't do as they say or do as we say. They do what we do. They mock our behavior. So if they see us coming together and working together for a greater good, I think that would affect them and help them realize that you can't do things alone, not when it's broken. And I also believe that accountability is a big thing. We like to point fingers and blame other people for why things aren't the way they should be. And instead of focusing on why another person's not doing what you believe they should do, start with yourself. Start with yourself, take accountability for your own actions, and see what you can do to contribute to the change.
From my work at Girls Inc., I can tell you firsthand that mental health is one of the greatest issues that our community is dealing with right now, especially among our youth. Washington County has one of the highest rates of teen suicide, one of the highest rates of teen pregnancy. We are third in the state for human sex trafficking, and the rise of gang recruitment, especially among girls, is continuously rising and a horrible, horrible problem. A lot of the reason why this is the case is because our youth do not have the coping skills to deal with these situations, and they don't know, okay, how do I stop from being recruited into a gang if my friends are doing it and this is what the cool thing to do is. So it takes people, it takes mentors. We need to uplift the youth. We need to provide resources and support and coping skills so that way they can not only help themselves but uplift their peers and their classmates and those around them.
Mia said it, to hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think that through all of these years, we've worked in silos, and there are tremendous amounts of great people in Washington County that are trying to do the same thing: homelessness, addiction, youth violence. But what we need to do is we need to collaborate, and we need to be synergistic in our approach in order to make that change that we all want to see. We all want a Hagerstown that we love and that we're proud of. So it's really pushing aside the agendas. It's really deciding that, we are going to be a force that unites, and we are going to make the change, and we're going to make it better for the people that deserve a better and great Hagerstown.
I love this concept because it's something that comes up quite frequently. So if you were spearheading it, how would we bring some of these organizations together to create larger, more bountiful organizations that are working on very specific topics together?
I know it particularly happened during the pandemic when we were in quarantine. I was at the time working at the Boys and Girls Club of Washington County, and our executive director she's still there, Addie Nardi, was collaborating with other executive directors of nonprofits that serve the youth, and how could we better serve them virtually, and what were the other nonprofits doing at their facilities to serve the youth, and they were kind of like bouncing ideas off of each other. And so during that time, in the midst of a pandemic, it really brought everybody together to kind of be more cohesive. So if it worked then I don't see why we couldn't do something like that moving forward.
I think just opening the dialogue and having conversations, like Shelley talked about, neighborhood first. Leadership Washington County is an amazing organization that it opens your eyes to so much in the community that you are not even aware of, being a resident growing up here your whole life. Just having that conversation and being able to listen and hear what others have to say, and then let's work together. Let's break down the silos.
And like I said, I think it's important to put our agendas to the side. I think that you have to focus on the greater good. And really, whenever you talk about something, some of these big, heavy issues, there are so many people in the different nonprofit organizations and in the private sector that really want the same thing. So it's creating that time in order to make it happen, and bite-sized chunks. We're not going to solve homelessness in 24 hours. It's not going to happen. But if we take small bite-sized pieces and we all work together, it's really the way to make accomplishment and to make a better community.
It's really just about communication, right? Talking. It's such a, we take it for granted. It's in front of us every single day, but yet it's something that can continuously be strengthened. I know that our community is not immune to a mindset, and this happens not just in communities, but in businesses and homes and relationships, but this is how we've always done things, so this is how we should continue. How do we start to break that cycle of that mindset and again come back together with unity?
I believe doing things without permission. Sometimes we try to get people to be on board with whatever our cause is, and instead of doing that, just do what you feel needs to be done and don't ask for permission. And if it works, I believe that people will follow suit and people will ask to join you in whatever it is that your mission is.
Albert Einstein, I think, answered this question by the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. I think, so many times you're trapped, like you said, Laura, in that cycle. How do we break it? We can't be afraid. We have to put our ideas into action and not be afraid to take the risk, be gutsy, and step up. And if somebody is in your way as far as, they say oh, this is how we've done it for 15 years, don't be afraid to, put your idea forward.
I'm not sure how many times you've heard one of the young people say that they want to do something this way, but when they do, we listen. So in order to do things and to make change, it goes back to the youth and the future of our community. So we have to get them involved. We have to encourage them to be involved, and we have to make sure that they stay involved from whatever it means necessary. And that's the way that we can create the change that will be consistent, because they are the future, as we've said up here a couple of times. And it's the only way that we can kind of let those old ideas and those old ways of doing things, we can let those kind of fade away for a better future.
There's some incredible innovation that comes from embracing new ideas. The Black Lives Matter march in Hagerstown just a few months ago was built from young women that had an idea and wanted to do something to take a stance. So going back to the youth and supporting and saying, what, this is not how we've always done it, but I have a really great idea and I think that I can get people on board. I mean, that's proof of that. Let's talk about volunteerism, because I think that a lot of people have the heart for it and they want to give back, but they're worried about the time commitment, the effort, maybe the financial commitment, and then sometimes on the flip side, volunteer burnout. So tell me a little bit about how you balance, or how you would recommend balancing volunteerism with giving back, but not also putting yourself completely flat out.
I think you really have to look at what organizations you are passionate about, what causes you're passionate about, and put your time and energy into those things. It's very easy to be pulled 15 different ways, or for a friend to be involved in something and try and recruit you. And, we're all busy people. It's just important to listen to your heart and find the causes that mean the most to you, and then dedicate the time you have to that. And you know what? If you can't dedicate 2 hours a week, if it's only 1 hour a month, then that's fine. Do the best that you can do, and do it about things that mean the most to you.
I think that I'm going to make it really simple. We all have social media feeds, and I think that we need to make sure that our feeds are full of the things that are the ways that we can give back. And even sharing a post about it for a nonprofit organization that's having an event, or maybe a local politician that's doing something really great in the community, doing things like that are really ways to give back. And because it can be very easy to get burnt out, and you have to do as Mr. Rollins said, and exercise your mind, exercise your faith. You need to really take care of your mental health, because it is very easy to get burnt out. You have to know that where your lane is, because you can't be good at everything, and you can't have your hands in every single organization. So find what is most passionate to you and really give back in that way.
So my answer is a little bit different, because I believe that people misconstrue the true meaning of passion. I think that you do find a nonprofit or organization that you are passionate about, to serve and to give back. But sometimes passion is confused with being something that is fun or exciting, but the reality is sometimes passion requires suffering. So for me, I feel like I just have to find what I'm willing to put that sacrifice into, and understand that it is a commitment, and sometimes it's not going to be fun, sometimes it's not going to be convenient, but it serves a greater good and a purpose that is greater than myself. So
Wonderful. I think there's a really important topic that we should dive into, and that's systemic racism. This is a topic that is in every community across the entire country. What can our businesses do, and our volunteers and our community involvement do to help end systemic racism here in our community?
We have to educate ourselves. We have to know what we're dealing with, because our brothers and sisters are hurting. And we have to understand that. And we have to know where that is rooted from. And we have to do a better job at listening and digging deep and being uncomfortable and saying things that may not sound right when you first say it, but to really educate ourselves and understand where we need to do better.
Shelly and I were actually talking about this right before we came on stage, and she's right. It's very uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for everyone, and we have to just forget about the uncomfortableness of it and have that conversation and educate ourselves. We have to listen, and really, really listen. So once we understand, and once we can really wrap our heads and minds around how we can rise above this and make a difference, we need to put that into action.
I believe that tackling racism, systemic racism, is first acknowledging it, bringing awareness to other people that it does exist, because a lot of people do not believe in systemic racism, probably because it does not affect them. Also extending grace to those people who do not understand, because I think sometimes when we talk about the subject, it's a very sensitive topic. People can become defensive, and I don't think that people are very respectful of a difference in opinion on both sides. And sometimes people talk and then they don't listen to understand. And sometimes understanding doesn't necessarily mean agreeing with what the other person is saying, but maybe just understanding their perception on the topic. And I also believe that being accountable for our own selves, and not always believing that the reason that we cannot accomplish or achieve things is because of something that is systemically placed in front of us. And if that does exist, what can we do to overcome it without letting that harbor us from persevering and moving forward past that obstacle?
Thank you, ladies. You know, it's so much about taking down our own walls and our own barriers and our own safety nets and stepping into that vulnerable place to say, hey, maybe I don't know and maybe I don't understand, but I'm willing to. You know, this has been a very challenging year for our globe. And we're also seeing the effects of COVID here in our own community. Some of our businesses are closing, some of our community members are financially struggling. What are some things that you are hopeful for, and maybe some things that are happening in place to help bring our economy back and to support our local members?
I feel like that's me. We have to get creative. Business is not being done as usual. People are not working as usual. People are, whether in school. Earlier today, I did a Zoom call with a group of third graders, 2 classes of third graders. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but these teachers are, wow. Ooh, I mean,
rock stars.
Their kids' faces were like way up close to the Zoom. It was crazy. But we have to be super appreciative of the differences that businesses and individuals and parents, everyone is going through this. It's the one thing, finally, that every single person in the world can relate to in one way or another. It has affected all of us. So we as a community have to be understanding, and we as a government have to be creative in order to open up the streets twice a week in order to make the businesses have outdoor dining. Things like that are going to be very, very important for us to be able to move forward together.
I think changing the mindset of how we perceive the pandemic, for me personally, I'm very grateful that I have not been negatively impacted by it, by health or family members being ill, or by it financially putting me in a bad position. So I'm definitely blessed in that area, but I believe that the mindset that we have about the pandemic, instead of us looking at it as something that has hindered us from doing certain things, I think it's afforded us a lot of opportunities to kind of come back to the basics of the way that we live, the way that we treat each other, and the way that we maintain our households. We kind of like just go in and out. We're in drive-throughs. We're not talking to our family members. We're not tending to our health. So I think that the pandemic forced us to be in the house. It forced us to be with our families, forced us to cook meals. It forced us, to be more mindful of what we put into our bodies and how we treat ourselves. And I feel like our community really came together. Groups were created on Facebook for, I seen people like, hey, there's toilet paper, there's sanitary wipe, or I'm sorry, not sanitary, but sanitizing wipes and stuff at Sam's Club, and you get there and there's like 10 things left. The takeout, the Washington County takeout, it was a good opportunity for new businesses to be seen. And even like with the nonprofits, I feel like a lot of nonprofits came together and made sure that the community's needs were met during the pandemic. So just doing the same things moving forward, even when, things start to lift up, just keeping that same mindset.
So at Girls Inc., we had to get really creative, as did the Boys and Girls Club and several other youth-serving organizations. And when we found out that kids were going to be doing distance learning again through the fall, we really had to take a look and say, okay, we need to jump in with both feet, and how do we help facilitate this program, and how do we move our after-school program to full-day programming? How do we find the staff? How do we fund this program? There were so many unknowns that we had, but we knew that we had to do something to help the girls. And so we met with the Boys and Girls Club. We talked to Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We tried to unite and all put our minds together to come up with a program that works. And I'll tell you, the first day we had girls in the building, it was very chaotic, and it was also sad because the girls are glued to an iPad with headphones 6 feet apart. They come in with masks, we take their temperature, but the reality is this is a needed program. And then how do we twist that and make it fun? How do we add the Girls Inc. twist to distance learning? There were a lot of lessons we learned, especially the first week, the first day, even when girls were like, Miss Shayna, we have chorus class. I can't sing in front of 15 other girls. Can I come to your office and do it? And then we had girls in PE and girls in drama and dance. It became very interesting. And we realized when they were finished with their learning for the day, we needed to get them up and moving because, like I said, it's sad. You go into a classroom and, the kids are glued to their devices. And as soon as they're finished and they move into the programs, they were so excited. Even if it is just, 30 minutes on the playground and then back into the classroom so another class can have that space and have that time and do it in a safe way. But I think that the pandemic really has made us get creative, come up with new ways of doing things. And I think it's also made us very empathetic towards those around us, those who are unfortunately battling with COVID, family members who are affected, and even just seeing kids who it's sad if they can't be in the classroom with their friends or with their teachers firsthand.
I think the innovation that has been born from the effects of COVID is just simply mind-blowing. Things that maybe community leaders or even community members are thinking about doing, maybe wanting to do at some point, but COVID has had its huge challenges and has affected so many lives, but it's also brought a lot of good. It's also brought a lot of creativity and innovation and just the way that we think and learn, and restaurants have pivoted left again to serve our community. So, when we're all coming together and learning about one another, we're also in an election year. And we've been home a lot, and people have lots of emotions. So I'm curious, as leaders in our community, how can we best support, again, bringing people back together to help avoid some of that division where maybe minds are not seeing eye to eye? Lots of deep breaths up here.
I think the first step is understanding that you're not going to see eye to eye with everyone. And that's okay. I may have differing opinions from a lot of my friends, and I'm okay with that, and they're okay with it, and we just have to move past that. We have to respect one another. We have to respect one another's religious beliefs, their political beliefs, whether we agree or not, and we just have to move past that.
I think unplugging for a minute sometimes helps. I know I had to do that. Just filtering what you allow your mind to take in and just loving on people. I think that, if you extend love to one another, it kind of like trumps all of the hatred out there. No pun intended. But that just unplugging and not feeding into everything that you see on social media. Not everything is true. Sometimes I think that if you constantly watch the videos that are out there, and it kind of like either will make you desensitized or it will overwhelm you. And when you're overwhelmed or you're desensitized, then there's either too much emotion or not enough. So just kind of being mindful of what you consume daily.
It's an election year?
I heard. Facebook told me it must be true.
I think that both of those things are absolutely correct. And one of the best pieces of advice that I was given early on is that you can't make everyone happy. And even your opinions, if we all had the same opinion, this would not be as a diverse and wonderful country that we live in today. So we have to respect our differences, and we have to fill our news feeds and our surroundings with good, positive energy. And it's okay to listen to the other side, but it's also okay to stay on your side and believe and stand up for what you believe in. So it's really a matter of taking care of yourself, unplugging. That's very, very important, even though you're all watching this on a live stream, but unplug after this. So it's really important to really understand that we are all in this together. And at the end of the day, we all want the same thing.
Imagine if we all went at, some of our other differences with such passion. Like I love mashed potatoes and I'm taking it to Facebook. It's just that's silly, but it's a reminder that we have differences in many capacities. And so the division does not have to happen. It's really about embracing other people's differences. And again, coming back to listening and hearing and educating. Education is so important, especially in topics like these. So I want to flip the switch and talk about amazing stuff. Because yes, there are challenges, and yes, we're faced with things, and yes, we have work to do, but there are incredible things happening, a lot of the times behind the scenes. So I would love for each of you to just kind of elaborate on something that you are most excited about that's happening in our community, and what can we be on the lookout for?
Surprise! No. Last night I was at the Planning Commission meeting, so two things, and there apparently is a lot of buzz about craft breweries and distilleries and really fun things that are really looking to develop here in Hagerstown. So that's one really exciting thing. And the second thing is, I am quite convinced that there is a strong possibility that we are getting a skate park. So we have a skateboard advisory council that is currently doing a lot of research because it's a very inexpensive sport. Skateboarders, they clean up after themselves, and it's a really great way to release a lot of energy. And I don't know about you, but I have seen a lot of skateboarders around lately. So I think that this is a real possibility for the community and is going to be a great asset for us.
So my nonprofit, we are currently working on some new programs that will come to light in the community in the beginning of January of 2021. Hopefully, Corona will be kind to us through the winter. So we are able to kind of take our programs off of the ground. The pandemic has definitely set back a lot of things that we had initially planned to launch. We were in the midst of working on it's called a sneaker ball. Ebony created that, and that was brought to light because when she was younger playing sports, she used to always have holes in her sneakers, she said. So she knows that a lot of children's outlet in these underserved communities are sports. And the last thing that kids want to have to worry about, because, kids are a little insensitive these days when you don't have nicer things than they do. So just making sure everybody has a level playing ground. So the sneaker ball is a fundraiser to raise money to buy brand new shoes for the children in the underserved communities whose families may not be able to afford them, and not just for sports but for the school year as well. And for my business, Liberated Consultants, we will be making ourselves known in the community as well. Shelly has given us the pleasure to utilize her business for our mock training. We do diversity training, and our mission is to empower people through education by embracing diversity. We kind of want to target businesses and larger corporations in light of everything that's going on in the world right now. You see a lot of people losing their jobs as a result of things that they post and say on social media. Some companies may, by policy, have to release some of these employees, but I think that it doesn't benefit anybody if a person loses their job because of a view that they have on, more particularly right now, racism is one of the bigger things that I see people losing their jobs over. And I think all that does is breed more hate. So instead of the person losing their job and their families being affected subsequently because of loss of income, I think that it's more fruitful if we go into businesses and have those conversations and get a better understanding for why people do feel that way. And sometimes, you might not change your mind. And sometimes I don't think people should be punished for how they feel. I personally would rather know where someone stands on something than them pretend that they like someone or something that they really don't. And sometimes people's personal views are, I believe, molded from experiences. And sometimes we may, if we give them that platform to have those conversations, we may learn that their view on a particular race may be based on a traumatic experience that they had. So instead of criticizing or punishing them for that, maybe we can extend some empathy and have conversations to show them that not everyone of that particular color or religion or group is that way. So those are the things that we'll be focusing on. Hopefully that helps.
At Girls Inc., one of the things we realized when COVID first began is that girls needed access to period products, and a lot of our girls depended on the schools to provide these necessary items for them. It's also one of those topics that you find that people just they're not comfortable talking about, or they don't want to have the conversation. So we launched on a small scale something called Project Red, where we offered feminine products to all girls, not just Girls Inc. members, under age 18. We set up a couple of distribution dates, I think twice a month for 3 months, and we began to expand our sites to the Boys and Girls Club. And with help from the Women's Giving Circle, we are able to continue to offer this program and expand the program. So keep an eye on that coming out soon. It will be announced on our Facebook page and other social media channels. So we're very excited to be able to expand that program and continue to offer that to women and girls in our community. The other thing, like you mentioned, Laura, it is an election year. So this month we are launching our Girls Inc. She Votes program. So you will see a lot on social media regarding that program, where girls actually have mock elections. They learn about the election process. They learn about what it's like to campaign and run for office. And we are just really excited about getting the word out there and empowering our young girls to vote and get involved in politics.
Oh, this is such inspiring stuff. Like it's this type of stuff that you don't necessarily see right away, but it's happening every single day behind the scenes in our community. And for you to see it and experience it, it has to start with an idea. It has to start with someone saying, what if? It has to start with someone saying, I have a passion for something. And total side note, can we please wear sneakers and a ball gown at the same time? Because I'm so in.
I'm sure Ebony will be open to that.
Fantastic. Well, as we start to round the bend, I'm curious, and I know that there's a lot of viewers today saying, you know what, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling inspired, I'm feeling invigorated. How can I get involved? What do I do first? Where do I go? Who do I talk to?
I think that you just put yourself out there. I think that you get involved and there's so many community organizations that even through COVID are doing things virtually, are doing events over the weekends, socially distanced approved. And I think it's really just putting yourself out there to find out and ask. We have the most nonprofits in Washington County or in the state, actually, in the county. And there really is an opportunity for everyone. So it's really just putting yourself out there and being brave and trying to find out where you can insert yourself to make a difference.
If you're looking for something to do, I guarantee you if you call any of the nonprofits, like Shelley mentioned, they would be happy to give you a tour, to tell you more about the work that they do in the community, and find the fit that's best for you. Like Shelley said, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Pick up the phone. If there's an organization that you're interested in, find out more about it. Start from there, and then, prioritize. See what it is that you're willing to help with and put your skill set to use.
I'm going to plug the city council members right now, the people who are currently running for office. I think if you go to their websites and volunteer, you'll find out a lot of needs that are currently an issue here in Washington County. I know that a lot of the city council members have went door to door, and they've been at these events speaking with the citizens of Washington County and hearing what their grievances are and what the need is. So I think if you start with them, you probably will get a better answer as to where you can offer your services to.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for not only sharing the stage with us here today and with our viewers, but for investing in our community. It's leaders like you that truly inspire change, that gets other people involved and says, you know what, hey, I'm willing to do this. I am here and I am ready. So thank you for investing your time, love, and your effort into our community. This is wrapping up here our last segment. I hope that you've enjoyed these amazing leaders, and please, by all means, take their advice to heart. Visit those websites, put yourself out there and say, you know what, how can I get involved? What does my community need of me? Thank you so much for your time, and Ryan, I'm going to come back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura, and thank you to all of our panelists and speakers this morning. You know, look, today's theme has been consistently about action, 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 and putting your passions into action, regardless of those obstacles, regardless of the grit and challenges that you may have to overcome along the way. We encourage you to go beyond today's messages, beyond today's speakers, and spread these messages with your friends, your families, and your colleagues. Light the fire in your business, in your organization, in your church, in your families, and in your community. Share the stream today and subscribe to our channel, as we're, of course, going to have some highlights from today's event sporadically throughout the next couple of weeks. We want to again thank our partners for today's event, Hope Community Church, Kite and Anchor, Captivated Culture, Alpha Media, and we want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in and pitching into the chat and joining in our conversation today. Take action, light the fire, and chase every passion that you have. Have a fantastic day, and thanks again for tuning in to Light the Fire 2020.